Understanding emotional control. There comes a point in life where you have to stop letting people rent space in your mind for free. Every word, every action, every attitude that disturbs your peace, it only has the power you give it. Emotional control isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about mastering what you allow to shape your internal world. You can't always control what people say, but you can control what stays inside you. And that's where the real transformation begins. See, most people live on emotional autopilot. They react to everything: a rude comment, a disappointing text, a setback at work. And the moment something doesn't go their way, they explode, shut down, or spiral into frustration. But here's the truth. Emotion is energy in motion. It's supposed to move through you, not control you. The people who live peacefully aren't the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who've learned to respond instead of react. Every time you let anger, irritation, or offense control you, you give your power away. You hand the steering wheel of your life to someone else and say, "Here, you drive me today." But when you develop emotional control, you take that power back. You're no longer dictated by moods, gossip, or opinions. You become anchored, steady, unshakable, and that's when your results start to multiply. Because discipline in your emotions is the foundation for discipline in your actions. Now understand this: emotional control is not emotional suppression. You don't ignore what you feel, you master what you feel. There's a difference between pretending everything's fine and choosing not to let your emotions dominate your decisions. When you suppress emotion, it festers, it turns into bitterness, resentment, or even self-sabotage. But when you manage emotion, you channel it into growth, wisdom, and purpose. That's what spiritual maturity looks like: the ability to feel deeply and still respond with clarity. Every reaction costs you energy. And if you waste that energy fighting what doesn't matter, you'll have nothing left for what truly does. You can't build a dream, strengthen a relationship, or grow in faith while being drained by offense and irritation. The enemy of your destiny is often not the person who wronged you, it's the distraction that follows. Emotional control is the filter that protects your focus. It's how you decide what gets your attention and what gets dismissed. So how do you build it? You start by observing yourself. Every time something triggers you, don't react immediately. Pause, breathe, ask, "Why does this bother me so much?" Most of the time, anger is a mask for hurt. Irritation is a mask for fear. Offense is a mask for insecurity. When you trace your emotions back to their root, you begin to heal instead of just react. You start learning that not everything requires a response and that silence can be more powerful than words. Think about it. When you argue with small-minded people, you reduce yourself to their level. But when you stay composed, you communicate something much stronger: that your peace isn't for sale. Every time you stay calm in the face of chaos, you teach your mind a new habit: I am in control of me. Emotional control isn't built in comfort, it's forged in the moments that test your patience, challenge your ego, and trigger your pride. Those moments are your classroom. There's a principle here: if you can't control your emotions, you'll never control your outcomes. The people who win in business, in relationships, in leadership are those who refuse to be manipulated by temporary feelings. They've trained themselves to act on principle, not impulse. They understand that emotions are indicators, not dictators. They listen to what they feel, but they don't bow to it. That's maturity, that's growth. And it's not just about calmness, it's about power. When you can remain calm while others lose control, you gain influence. People trust stability. They follow peace. They're drawn to those who can handle pressure without crumbling. Emotional control elevates your presence. It makes you magnetic, credible, and trustworthy because people know you won't break at the first sign of conflict. Here's the reality: you can't step into greatness with a fragile mindset. If every disagreement shakes you, every criticism wounds you, and every delay frustrates you, you'll live in cycles of defeat. But if you train yourself to stay centered no matter what, you become unstoppable. Because nothing external can destroy what's anchored internally. The storms will still come, but they won't move you. You'll have peace that passes understanding, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. The most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, it's the calmest. It's the one who knows that emotions are tools, not traps. The one who can be surrounded by chaos and still think clearly. That's what real power looks like. Not dominance, not control over others, but mastery over self. Emotional control is spiritual control. It's saying, I refuse to let my flesh run my future. It's remembering that you are responsible for your state of mind, no matter what anyone else does. It's walking through life knowing that peace is a decision, not a condition. You choose it every day, in every reaction, in every moment that tests your patience. And when you finally get this, when you learn to stay calm under pressure, to stay silent when provoked, to stay focused when distracted, your whole life changes. Your relationships improve, your purpose becomes clearer, and your energy multiplies, because you're no longer wasting your strength on things that don't serve your destiny. You're channeling it into what actually builds your future. So understand this, emotional control is not weakness, it's strength in its highest form. It's choosing peace over drama, wisdom over reaction, and growth over pride. When you learn that not every battle deserves your attention, you start winning the battles that truly matter. You start building the kind of life that noise can't shake, opinions can't break, and chaos can't touch. The power of detachment and inner peace. There's a freedom that comes when you finally understand that not everything requires your emotional involvement. The more you grow, the less you chase, the less you argue, the less you explain. Because when your spirit matures, you realize that peace is not found in control, it's found in release. Detachment is not indifference, it's wisdom. It's saying, I can love you, care about you, wish the best for you, and still not let you disturb my peace. That's the power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about people, it means you stop carrying what's not yours to carry. You stop trying to fix everyone, please everyone, or prove yourself to everyone. You stop living for validation and start living from conviction. It's the difference between reacting to the world and creating your world. Because when you're attached to everything, you're at the mercy of everything. But when you're detached from outcomes, criticism, and approval, you become untouchable. Inner peace doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from surrender, from trusting that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what's not meant for you will never stay. When you stop trying to force life into your expectations, you allow life to unfold in divine order. You start realizing that every delay, every rejection, every detour has a purpose. That the closed door wasn't a punishment, it was protection. That the people who walked away didn't break you, they freed you. That's what detachment gives you, perspective. See, most people are miserable not because life is hard, but because they're holding on to what they were supposed to let go of. They hold on to offenses, to toxic relationships, to failures, to expectations that no longer fit the season they're in. And that emotional clutter becomes spiritual noise. It clouds your vision. It drains your energy. It keeps you from hearing the quiet voice of purpose that's trying to lead you forward. You can't step into peace when you're still chained to your past. Detachment teaches you to let go with grace. It teaches you that not every fight is yours to fight, and not every storm deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to walk away without bitterness, to release without resentment, to trust that peace is more valuable than being right. Because when you detach, you stop trying to control how others see you or how they behave. You stop chasing closure from people who were never capable of giving it. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You learn to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Inner peace is a discipline. It doesn't just happen. It's chosen every day. You choose it when you stop engaging in arguments that lead nowhere. You choose it when you let go of the need to defend your worth. You choose it when you respond with silence instead of anger. You choose it when you refuse to let temporary emotions sabotage your permanent growth. The secret is not to avoid life's noise, but to rise above it. To become so grounded in who you are that the chaos around you can't pull you out of alignment. And that alignment starts with knowing what truly matters. Once you have clarity about your purpose, not everything deserves your reaction. You begin to see that some things are simply beneath your calling. You realize that maturity is not about winning every argument, it's about conserving your energy for what truly moves you forward. Detachment helps you see that peace is not something you find when life gets easier, it's something you create in the middle of difficulty. When you master detachment, your relationships change too. You no longer depend on others to make you feel whole. You stop expecting someone else to fill your emptiness or validate your worth. You approach people from abundance, not need. You give freely without fear of loss because your joy doesn't come from them, it comes from within. That's what makes you magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't need to be chased, who don't cling, who radiate quiet strength. The truth is, you can't hold peace and control at the same time. You have to choose. Detachment says, I trust the process. I trust the timing. I trust the plan. And when you truly trust, you stop being reactive. You stop worrying about outcomes. You start flowing with life instead of fighting it. That's when your energy aligns with divine rhythm and things begin to move effortlessly. You start attracting opportunities that match your peace instead of your anxiety. Inner peace is not passive, it's power under control. It's the strength to stand still when everything around you screams to react. It's the wisdom to know that silence can speak louder than shouting. It's the faith to believe that life's tests are not there to break you, but to build your patience and maturity. Because the one who can remain calm in conflict, that's the one who wins. The one who can remain centered when provoked, that's the one who leads. You'll know you've mastered detachment when someone can insult you, ignore you, or misunderstand you, and you still wish them well. When you can walk away from chaos and not feel the need to prove a point. When you can sit in uncertainty and still have peace, that's when you know you're no longer living by emotion, you're living by principle. That's when your mind becomes a fortress and your soul becomes light. The power of detachment is that it frees you to love deeply without losing yourself, to care fully without carrying unnecessary pain, to engage with life without being enslaved by outcomes. And when you live from that place, you're unstoppable, because peace is your weapon. Detachment is your armor, and no one can steal what you no longer cling to. So understand, this peace is not something you stumble upon, it's something you protect. It's not a gift life gives you, it's a gift you give yourself through wisdom, perspective, and spiritual maturity. When you detach from what drains you and stay anchored to what grows you, you begin to live with a calm confidence that can't be shaken. You stop being tossed by emotion and start walking with intention. And that's when your spirit becomes unbothered, your focus becomes unbreakable, and your life becomes unstoppable. Mastering your triggers and reactions. If you ever want to experience real peace, if you ever want to live with power and purpose, you've got to master your triggers. Because your triggers are the traps that keep you emotionally enslaved. They are the buttons that anyone can push to pull you out of character, pull you out of focus, and pull you out of alignment with your higher purpose. The secret to never getting angry or bothered isn't about pretending those buttons don't exist. It's about rewiring yourself so they no longer have control. Most people go through life reacting instead of responding. Somebody says something disrespectful and they snap back. Someone doesn't show appreciation and they withdraw. The boss criticizes their work and their whole mood collapses. Their emotions run the show and they wonder why life feels unstable. But emotional maturity, real maturity, begins when you stop letting external things dictate your internal state. When you decide that your peace is not negotiable and your reaction will never be free for others to control. A trigger is not the problem. The reaction is. The trigger is only a messenger, revealing where healing still needs to happen. Every time something irritates you deeply, every time you feel anger rise up or insecurity take over, you're being given a mirror, a moment to look within. Because the truth is, people don't make you angry, they expose the anger already living inside you. Circumstances don't make you insecure, they reveal where you've tied your worth to something external. Once you understand that, you stop fighting people and start refining yourself. Mastering your reactions starts with awareness. Before you respond, ask yourself, what am I really reacting to? Is it the words or is it the meaning I gave those words? Is it the situation or is it my expectation of how it should have gone? 9 times out of 10, what disturbs your peace isn't the event itself, it's the story you attach to it. You feel disrespected because you expected appreciation. You feel abandoned because you expected loyalty. But once you release the need for others to behave a certain way, you release yourself from their power. And this is key: when you master your reactions, you master your destiny. Because your reactions determine your outcomes. Think about it. One impulsive reaction can destroy years of work. One emotional outburst can damage your reputation. One argument can close a door that was meant to elevate you. The people who achieve greatness aren't those who never feel emotion. They're those who feel everything but act with discipline. They've learned that emotions are feedback, not commands. They process, then they proceed with wisdom. The reason triggers control so many people is that they've never taken the time to slow down and reflect. They move from feeling to reaction in seconds. But when you slow down, when you create that space between what happens and how you respond, you gain power. In that small space, growth lives. That's where you can ask, is this worth my energy? Does this reaction serve my purpose or sabotage it? The longer you can stretch that space, the stronger you become. Because strength isn't in the force of your emotions, it's in your ability to control them. Let's be clear, mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings lead. It means you can feel anger but not become anger. You can feel hurt but not lash out from hurt. You can feel frustration and still move with focus. That's emotional leadership, and that's what separates those who are reactive from those who are influential. People follow calm strength, not chaotic energy. They trust those who remain steady when everything else shakes. To master your triggers, you've got to study them. Pay attention to what gets under your skin. Is it disrespect? Is it being ignored? Is it rejection? Because those triggers point to the places in you that still need healing. You can't conquer what you don't confront. Every emotional reaction is a signal, a chance to grow stronger, more aware, more self-controlled. And here's the truth. You will keep facing the same triggers in different forms until you master your response. Life will keep sending the same test until you pass it with peace. When you begin to master your reactions, something powerful happens. You become unpredictable in the best way. People can't manipulate you anymore. They can't use your emotions against you because they can't predict your response. You stop being emotionally available to drama. You become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're controlled. That's real power. That's how kings and queens move calm, deliberate, intentional. And it's not just about personal peace, it's about divine alignment. Because when your emotions no longer dictate your actions, your spirit can finally lead. You start moving in wisdom instead of impulse. You start hearing divine instruction clearly because the noise of reaction no longer drowns it out. You begin to recognize that anger, jealousy, or offense are just distractions from the bigger assignment. Every time you react emotionally, you delay your destiny. But every time you choose peace, you accelerate your purpose. Don't mistake gentleness for weakness. It takes strength to stay calm when provoked. It takes discipline to stay silent when insulted. It takes faith to stay patient when misunderstood. Anyone can react, that's easy. But to rise above, to keep your composure, to remain centered in chaos, that's the mark of someone who's mastered themselves. That's when life can no longer push you around emotionally. That's when you move from being a reactor to a creator. Because once you control your emotions, you start shaping your environment instead of being shaped by it. You start influencing energy instead of absorbing it. You begin to command peace, not chase it. And that's the transformation when what used to disturb you no longer affects you. When what used to offend you now teaches you. When what used to break you now builds you. That's mastery. So remember this, the goal isn't to avoid being triggered, it's to stop being controlled by what triggers you. You'll never have total control over what people do, but you can have complete control over how you respond. The one who can master his reaction is the one who can master his reality. And once you reach that level, nothing and no one can steal your peace because you've learned that peace is not a reward for perfect circumstances. It's the result of perfect discipline, rising above the opinions of others. There's a point in your growth where you must decide whose voice carries weight in your life, the voice of purpose or the voice of people. Because if you keep living for the opinions of others, you'll stay small enough to fit into their expectations, but never big enough to step into your destiny. One of the greatest prisons you can live in is the fear of what people think. But one of the greatest freedoms you'll ever experience is when you stop explaining yourself and start expressing yourself. When you realize that other people's opinions are not your responsibility, that's when peace finally begins to live in you. See, too many people are living reactive lives because they are addicted to validation. They want to be liked, understood, accepted, and approved, and when they don't get it, they crumble. But when your sense of worth is built on opinions, your emotions will always be unstable. One compliment lifts you, one criticism destroys you. You'll keep rising and falling based on the moods of people who probably don't even know who they are. That's not power, that's bondage. You've got to rise above that noise. You've got to reach a place where you can hear what people say and still know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you don't need everyone else to agree with it. Some people will never understand your calling because it wasn't meant for their comprehension. They'll criticize what they can't categorize. They'll mock what they can't match. And if you're not grounded in your identity, you'll start shrinking to fit their level of comfort. But you weren't built to blend in. You were built to stand out. People's opinions are just reflections of their own limitations. If they don't believe they can do it, they'll tell you that you can't either. If they're afraid of failure, they'll call your boldness foolishness. If they're insecure, they'll interpret your confidence as arrogance. That's why you must discern the difference between feedback that refines you and opinions that drain you. Not everyone's voice deserves access to your spirit. Some voices are there to build you, others are there to bind you. And the wisdom is in knowing which is which. When you rise above opinions, you stop needing applause to feel accomplished. You stop needing attention to feel valuable. You start doing what's right, not what's popular. And that's when your life becomes powerful, because your actions start flowing from conviction, not comparison. When your motives are clean, your moves become clear. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth when your work speaks louder than their words. Understand this: people will always talk. If you're doing nothing, they'll talk. If you're doing something great, they'll talk even more. But either way, they'll talk. So you might as well do what aligns with your purpose. Because no matter how good you are, someone will always find fault. No matter how kind you are, someone will still misunderstand you. And if you keep adjusting your character for every critic, you'll lose sight of who you were created to be. One of the hardest truths to accept is that not everyone will clap for your growth. The same people who were comfortable with you at level 1 will become uncomfortable when you reach level 5. Because your evolution exposes their stagnation. When you rise, you become a mirror. You remind others of what they could be if they stopped making excuses. And instead of rising with you, they'd rather resent you. Don't take it personally. It's not rejection, it's revelation. It's showing you who's meant to go with you and who's meant to stay behind. The higher you go, the quieter it gets. That's not loneliness, that's clarity. You can't fly with people who are comfortable crawling. And you can't hear divine direction when you're drowning in human opinions. You've got to create spiritual distance from those who keep speaking fear over your faith, doubt over your dreams, and limitation over your life. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Protect your peace by protecting your circle. Rising above opinions doesn't mean arrogance, it means alignment. It means you respect people's right to their opinion while refusing to make it your truth. You can listen without absorbing. You can hear without obeying. You can smile and still stay silent when someone tries to project their limitations onto your life. Because when you truly know your path, distractions lose their grip. And here's what's powerful. Once you stop being moved by praise, you'll stop being shaken by criticism. They're two sides of the same coin. The moment you no longer need approval to keep going is the moment you become unstoppable. You don't do it for claps. You do it because you're called. You don't live for validation, you live for transformation. That's when you start operating from purpose, not pressure. People's opinions fade, but your purpose doesn't. Their applause is temporary, but your assignment is eternal. You've got to stop measuring your success by other people's reactions. The same people who cheer today may criticize tomorrow. And if you let them determine your direction, you'll live your whole life zigzagging between opinions, never anchored in your truth. Stand firm. Let your yes be yes, your no be no, and your peace be unshakable. When you truly rise above opinions, you stop fighting battles that don't build you. You stop chasing explanations and start walking in demonstration. You stop needing to prove your worth because you know that every word against you is powerless without your agreement. They can talk, but their talk can't touch your destiny unless you give it permission. So learn to smile and keep walking. Learn to hear the noise and still move in silence. Learn to let your results speak for you. Because when you reach that level of inner peace, when your emotions are no longer tied to other people's perceptions, you become free. And that freedom is priceless. That's when you'll finally understand that the only opinion that truly matters is the one God has about you, and He already called you worthy, chosen, and capable. Don't waste your energy convincing people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let your growth do the talking. Let your consistency silence the critics. Let your peace be the proof that you've matured. Because when you no longer need people's approval, you've already won the battle for your mind. And when your mind is free, no one can bother you, no one can move you, and no one can block what's divinely yours. Living in unshakable peace and purpose. There comes a point in your journey where peace becomes more important than popularity, and purpose becomes more precious than possessions. That's the point where you stop chasing the things that used to impress people and start pursuing the things that truly fulfill your soul. Living in unshakable peace and purpose doesn't mean your life becomes easy. It means your heart becomes anchored. It means that no matter how loud the world gets, your spirit stays calm, steady, and unmovable. See, peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of perspective. It's not that storms stop coming. It's that you stop allowing them to control you. The world will always have noise. But peace is learning to walk through it without letting it inside of you. That's why some people look calm even when life seems chaotic, because they've built peace on the inside, not based on what's happening outside. Peace begins when you stop fighting for control and start trusting the one who is in control. You stop reacting to every emotion, every opinion, every delay, and instead, you start responding with faith. You realize that not every battle deserves your attention, and not every conversation deserves your energy. Some things are beneath your calling. When you live from a place of peace, you stop allowing temporary emotions to create permanent decisions. You start protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. And this is where purpose connects with peace. You can't live in peace if you're out of alignment with your purpose. Because when you're not walking in what you were created to do, there will always be a restlessness inside you. You'll keep chasing more money, more approval, more validation, trying to fill a void that only purpose can satisfy. But once you discover what you're truly called to do, everything changes. You stop waking up with anxiety and start waking up with intention. You stop asking, what should I do? And start declaring, this is what I was born to do. Purpose gives your peace direction. It turns pain into preparation, loss into lesson, and delay into development. Because purpose gives meaning to the struggle. When you know why you're going through something, you stop complaining and start growing. You begin to see that everything, even the hard seasons, is shaping you for what's next. That's why people who live in purpose rarely panic. They understand that everything is part of the process. But here's the truth. You can't find peace and purpose in noise. You have to learn the art of silence, solitude, and stillness. You have to spend time away from the crowd to hear the whisper of your Creator. Because your calling doesn't shout, it speaks softly. And if your life is filled with distraction, you'll miss divine direction. That's why peace is powerful. It creates the environment where purpose can speak. To live in unshakable peace, you have to master the discipline of surrender. Let go of what you can't control. Release people who drain your spirit. Stop replaying conversations that no longer serve your growth. Stop trying to fix what God already freed you from. You cannot receive peace while holding on to pain. The moment you release control, peace flows in. The moment you stop chasing outcomes and start trusting timing, rest replaces restlessness. Purpose demands that you live from conviction, not convenience. Because once you start walking in purpose, challenges will come, but peace will keep you standing. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working, but peace will remind you that something is still growing. There will be moments when people doubt you, but purpose will remind you that you don't need validation to keep moving. When your life is rooted in peace and purpose, you stop moving from desperation and start moving from direction. You don't rush anymore, you trust. You don't strive for recognition, you serve with conviction. You don't compare your journey, you complete your assignment. That's when life becomes lighter, not because the load got smaller, but because your faith got stronger. Living in unshakable peace means learning to pause before reacting. It means asking, is this worth my peace? Before giving it your energy. It means recognizing that not every invitation deserves attendance and not every opinion deserves acknowledgement. Peace is your filter. If it costs your peace, it's too expensive. Protect it like your greatest treasure, because once you lose it, even blessings start feeling like burdens. And as for purpose, it's not about doing big things, it's about doing the right things. You can be busy and still not be productive. You can have motion without meaning. Purpose brings clarity. It helps you focus on what truly matters and release what doesn't. It gives you the power to say no without guilt and yes without fear. Because when you know your why, every decision becomes easier. Here's what's powerful. Peace and purpose feed each other. The more you live in peace, the clearer your purpose becomes. The more you walk in purpose, the stronger your peace grows. One fuels the other. That's why the enemy of your destiny isn't chaos, it's distraction. If he can steal your peace, he can cloud your purpose. But if you stay anchored in both, nothing can stop your progress. Living in unshakable peace doesn't mean you'll never face storms. It means you've learned that storms don't last forever. It means you've learned that what tried to shake you only helped shape you. You start seeing challenges as opportunities for growth, not reasons for fear. You start recognizing that peace isn't weakness, it's strength under control. The calmest person in the room always has the most power. And when you reach that point, when your emotions are stable, your focus is clear, and your spirit is grounded, life takes on a whole new meaning. You stop needing to chase miracles because you become one. You stop seeking peace because you carry it. You stop questioning your worth because you know your purpose confirms it. So live in peace, walk in purpose, protect your energy, move with grace, speak with wisdom, love without fear, and trust that everything happening in your life is working for your good. Because when your heart is aligned with peace and your steps are guided by purpose, No criticism can distract you, no failure can defeat you, and no storm can break you.